Among the things I've been told as a theistic Satanist has been things like, how can you believe in Satans? How can you believe in these things as real? It's like saying that you don't believe in Harry Potter, but you believe in Voldemort, but the Christian equivalent, is something I've been told before by another occultist. I've been told a lot of other things. That was among the lighter criticisms. And at the time, I didn't really have a response to that. But now, the way I see it, understanding that Satan as a word, as a term, predates and is older than the entire Christian faith. And even at that time, the Satan who I was working with, who I'm still working with, is still older than the entire Christian religion is. I feel that it doesn't have to have anything to do with Christianity. And the reason that there is this confusion where people assume it must be something to do with the Christian Satan or the Christian idea of Satan is because that's the most popular religion on the planet, and the way they use that term is incorrect. Is false. They use that term as like the name of some specific guy or some specific angel who they say is Lucifer. Lucifer is a Roman god. Was a Roman god that came from the Greek phosphorus. And then it was taken and they took Samael from Judaism, some of their mythology, they mixed it over with Lucifer, and they used a mistranslation in the Bible that had been talking about a human king falling out of power, and comparing him to Lucifer as in the planet Venus, and they used that as to say that that's like some fallen angel falling out of heaven for betraying God or something. It's all entirely just made up. The actual people, Lucifer, was a Roman god, and that is also older than Christianity, and Samael, which is, they like morphed them together pretty much, but Samael was from Judaism and is the angel of death in Judaism. And I actually do work with Samael, and I do see Samael as overlapped with Lucifer because of the last hundreds of years of people prescribing their stuff onto each other. So it's kind of like combined some of their stuff. But I don't believe in like Satan being a name of some guy. I believe that Satan is a role, it's a job, it's a title of different spirits. There are even human Satans. Like, it just means opposite adversary, opponent, and then also Saturn energy, and it's the same as like Saturn and Satyr. And then before that, it could have just been like a general spirit, but really, it's not evil spirits. It's an opposite energy. It's not evil. It's adversarial or opposite. And so, if I'm working with Satan energies, that could mean a lot of different things. I have worked with opponent spirits or sort of like adversarial spirits that I had to overcome and work through and balance out. But even that is like, it's different from how people think. I don't think that you have to apply like the Christian beliefs to it, because that's made up by the Catholic Church to control people through fear. Because they teach people to be ruled and run away from their fear, which actually makes them entirely ruled by their fear. Whereas devil worshippers and Satanists who are approaching things from a pre-Christian lens are actually directly facing our fears, facing our Satans, taking responsibility for our Satans, and becoming our own masters rather than letting Christians or anyone else rule us. And I think that it's sad that that they're so resistant to learning because they've been so wrapped up in these lies that they are not even willing to entertain former views on these things. So Christians, they say that Satan is an opponent of God, that he is this singular guy, that he's a bad guy, and that he's going to torture everyone for eternity or some nonsense. If you don't agree with them, then you'll just be tortured forever and that you deserve it. It is an incredibly narcissistic and apathetic, unempathetic, and ignorant view of the world and everything. Whereas in Judaism, they say that the character in the Old Testament who killed the firstborns of the Egyptians, killed Pharaoh's son, and who tested Job in the book of Job, they say that that was all Samael. And they do not see Samael as actually against God, at least not from what I have read. They saw him as a force of God, or as a angel of God, but it's God's fury, vengeance, poison, perfume. Samael can also mean who God has heard as well, who God has heard, and the poison and vengeance of God. So he's sort of neutral. Like he's definitely a force of death, and he's not necessarily the kind of angel you would necessarily want to be met with, but he's not just this like evil guy. Not really anyways. I mean, there's different variations of that, and it kind of gets complicated, but I work with Samael. Personally, I see myself as Samael's wizard. I do not believe in a singular god. I do not believe in a singular El. El was taken from the Canaanites and was in the Canaanite pantheon. And I do believe in perhaps a force of the Elohim. I do believe in the Sephiroth and Klepoth. I do believe in gods, plural, and I believe in the angels, and I believe that the angels are a monotheistic perversion of the older pantheistic Canaanite and other pantheons that went into becoming what would be the Abrahamic faiths. But I think that it's a different variation of the gods plural, and that there are gods plural that have been divided, that could be seen to be divided through the Sephiroth and Klepoth, but I do not believe in a singular god, and I think that a lot of the problems in our world today come from seeing it as a singular god and come from seeing it as a binary between you have to do everything that this god says or whatever, but it's all just made up by people. There is no consistency. Any of it is subjective. Subjective because all of it is subjective. The entire idea that there is like some preserved true word of God when there's all these different religions saying all these different things and all the different translations say different things. You can read the Bible front to back and it'll contradict itself within even just that, and it's like there's no way to say that that is like literal truth. You can find the symbolism in it. You can approach it from different ways, but it's a myth. It's all mythology. And when you actually meet these people and talk to them, you realize that they're forces of nature, that they're forces of your psychology, that they're forces of the world around you, that they're conduits of energy in the universe. They are not good or bad, but both. And they're beyond these things. They're beyond human concepts of like gender and sexuality and morality and all of it. They subvert everything. And I feel like if you I mean, they drive people mad as well. Angels have have an energy that will do that because it's like trying to talk to something that is a condensed force of everything. It's too much. But if you get out of the madness, though, you're able to level out. And I don't know. It's just, I think that that anything can be a Satan, because a Satan is just is really just an opponent. But they're not bad. And the things that are called Satans, like demons and devils, that has different origins. So Samael is a Satan to ignorance. He is a Satan to apathy. He is a Satan to narcissism. He is the enemy of apathy. He is the enemy of like slavers and people who would hurt their own children or who would hurt minorities. So yeah, he is a Satan to a lot of the current world orders right now and current religions right now, but only because they're hurting vulnerable people. He wouldn't be your enemy if you weren't killing his kids.